virtual council meeting. Before we start the formal business of the meeting, I must remind you that the audio of this meeting is being live broadcast on the council's website, and the video of the meeting will be published after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get going then? Can I say
yes, please.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this first virtual full council. Hope we have a nice time. Can I please invite my chaplain, Sally Bayliss, to say prayers with some special prayers this time? Thank you. Sally.
Thank you. Thank you to the Mayor, and thank you for inviting me to open the meeting in prayer today. I'm going to start with a statement in remembrance of Srebrenica and the Memorial Day, which occurred at the weekend. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide, in which over 8,000 Muslim men and boys were murdered in the worst atrocity on European soil since the Second World War, simply because of their Muslim identity. As an organisation, we believe that we must ensure that we never forget about the genocide and reaffirm our commitment to standing up against hatred and prejudice. This year's Srebrenica Memorial Day theme, Every Action Matters, seeks to encourage every person to reflect upon their own behaviour and choices that they make, and demonstrate that however insignificant it may seem, every action matters. It aims to show that those who stand up can make a difference. It sets out to dispel the notion that one person cannot make a difference and show that the action of one individual does matter and that they can achieve a great deal, however small that action may appear initially. On Srebrenica Memorial Day, we remember and honour those who were brutally murdered because of hate, and commit ourselves to working towards building a more cohesive, stronger and safer society, free from hatred, discrimination and prejudice. And let's just pause a moment to digest those words. So let us pray. In honour of those who were brutally murdered at Srebrenica, we remember the news bulletins over the weekend which showed that funerals were still ongoing, and brought it home to us how much every single life lost was someone's son or father or brother or child. And we pray that somehow, by working together and individually, we can stop such things happening in the future. As we pray for this meeting, let us give thanks to all the technical staff for their expertise in making it possible. We give thanks for all those who continue to serve the community of Gedling. And we pray that through this ongoing crisis, having to deal with situations we never imagined would happen, we pray that we seek together to find appropriate ways of serving the community of Gedling and ensuring the well-being of all residents. In Jesus' name, Amen.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sally. Can I do item 2 then? Apologies for our absence. Councillor Wilkinson, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got apologies for Councillor Roxanne Ellis, Councillor Keneally, and Councillor Thomas.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sam Smith, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Simon Murray will be joining the meeting at a later time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Caroline, could you just confirm who is present for the benefit of the people listening at home, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm that the following councillors are present. Councillor Adams, Councillor Peter Barnes, Madam Mayor Councillor Sandra Barnes, Councillor Barnfather, Councillor Bosworth, Councillor Boyle, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Clark, Councillor Clooney, Councillor Collis, Councillor Creamer, Councillor Elliott, Councillor David Ellis, Councillor Rachel Ellis, Councillor Elwood, Councillor Feeney, Councillor Fox, Councillor Gibbons, Councillor Greensmith, Councillor Gregory, Councillor Hollingsworth, Councillor Hope, Councillor Lawrence, Councillor Ron McCrossan, Councillor Viv McCrossan, Councillor Miller, Councillor Nayuk, Councillor Paling, Councillor Parr, Councillor Payne, Councillor Scroggy, Councillor Martin Smith, Councillor Sam Smith, Councillor Towsey Hinton, Councillor Truscott, Councillor Wheeler, and Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you.
I would also thank you, Madam Mayor. I would also just like to introduce the officers supporting today's meeting. So we have Mike Hill, Acting Chief Executive. We have Helen Barrington, Monitoring Officer, and myself, Caroline McCleary, Clerk of the meeting, along with Democratic Services colleagues supporting in the background. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Right, item 3 is Mayor's announcement. So yes, I've got to just mention a really lovely councillor, ex-councillor, sorry, and alderman who died over this COVID period, and I'd like us all to remember Gordon Tunnicliffe. Now, Pam said she would like a memorial service at Gedling Church eventually. I know it's going to be a bit difficult at the moment, but she would so like to do this. So I think maybe as time goes on, we'll see that come to fruition. I just wondered if anybody would like to say anything regarding Gordon Tunnicliffe, because he was a lovely, lovely gentleman, and I'm sure that some of you here, you know, would like to say something. So I'll leave it to you.
We've got Councillor Hollingsworth, Chair.
Oh, I thought Jenny would, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Am I unmuted? I hope I am.
No, you're okay.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the opportunity, Madam Mayor. It's a very sad occasion to speak about this. I was incredibly shocked when I learned that Gordon had died. I first met Gordon in the early 80s, and it became very clear very quickly how ubiquitous he was around Gedling, being involved in so many organisations. Gordon was a man who was unfailingly courteous, kind, and caring about others. And I remember particularly after he stood down and Linda Pearson was elected in his stead, he actually sent a really nice card to her, congratulating her and wishing her well. And that was somebody from another party, but for Gordon that didn't matter. It was the people that mattered. He will be missed. I think a lot of us have been in touch with Pam, and we know she's really keen, and I think we would all like the opportunity to commemorate and celebrate his life and his contribution to Gedling. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jenny. Anyone else liking to say anything?
We've got Councillor Elwood, Mayor.
Right. Councillor Elwood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I saw Gordon in late February, and before lockdown, we had a good chat and a laugh. That's how I want to remember him.
That's right.
I don't want to revisit his achievements that we mentioned when he became an alderman. We did that a few years back, but I would just like to remember his support for me after the borough election in 2015, when I was on my toes, so to speak. His support at that time for me was personally very appreciative. I'll remember his optimism, his kindness, and we'll all remember Gordon's catchphrase of "keep up the good work." That was something he always used to say. That's probably all I need to say. And as Councillor Hollingsworth said, we hope we can celebrate his life later in the year. God bless you, Gordon.
Thank you very much, Councillor Elwood. Anyone else, please?
Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you. Councillor Lawrence? Councillor Lawrence?
He's on mute, Madam Mayor.
He wants to unmute.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay. You right?
Yeah, it keeps unmuting again. I'd just like to say what I said when he was made an alderman, that I'd never heard him say a political word against anybody. He was, as Jenny has already said, interested in his area, and that was the most important thing to him. He was a gentleman, and I think we'll all remember that. He was very assiduous about attending full council meetings as an alderman, and it was always good to see him, talk to him, and I feel so much for Pam. And obviously, when things are right, it is important that we celebrate his life, and I look forward to that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Anyone else?
We've got Councillor Clark, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Clark?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Have you got me?
Yeah?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, agreeing with my colleagues there that I'll put some vision on just to frighten everybody. Agreeing with my colleagues there to, all the comments have been made. And I think often you've heard me say in the chamber that the type of councillor that you've got here, occasionally there will be a bit of a fracas, there'll be a bit of a rumble in the chamber. But in general, everybody works for Gedling, and no more than what Gordon did. Gordon was a credit not only to his family, but also to his constituents, and also to the borough, because he's part of that glue that we've got running through, even though sometimes it gets a bit mixed between the different colours. He was one that you would want to represent you, and unfortunately he had ill health in the last few years that didn't allow him to complete some of the things he wanted to do. But an excellent servant of Gedling. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Clark. Anyone else?
Councillor Payne's next, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to add to what Councillor Hollingsworth said, really, that I think the standout thing about Gordon was his trademark grace and generosity, and the fact that he genuinely had a heart of gold. Every time you saw Gordon in the council, he always took time to stop and ask how people were, what was going on, what was happening in the council. As everybody knows, he continued to attend and support, quite rightly, having been recognised as an honorary alderman in 2014. And of course, he was the first and only Liberal Democrat mayor of the borough, where he raised £17,500 for Macmillan nurses. He was in many respects Mr. Gedling Village, and the businesses, the residents, the community organisations, not least First Gedling Scout Group, will dearly miss Gordon. And certainly I became very close friends with Gordon and Pam, and always really appreciated their private and personal support and advice. And my heart really does go out to Pam. He'll be sorely missed. I think he was an exemplary person, always put service before self. He had a beautiful smile every time you saw him, and I think he'll be really, really missed by Gedling. He was an outstanding ambassador. Rest in peace, and out to Pam and the wider family.
Oh, thank you very much, Councillor Payne. Anyone else?
Councillor Creamer.
Councillor Creamer, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I feel I have to actually support absolutely everything that was said. When I had a personal tragedy, he was one of the first to actually come to console me and continually asked how I was personally as well. It has been said he was a kind man, he was a gentleman, and I will miss him, and I think we will all miss him. There's not many gentlemen around nowadays, but he certainly topped the list. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Creamer. Anyone else?
Yes, me.
Peter, Councillor Barnes?
Can I just say 2 words for Gordon? He was a gentleman and a pleasure to know.
That's more than 2 words. But yes, it was. Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Anyone else? No? So can I just say then, he still like to used to come in and see everybody, and I think all the remarks that you've all made were absolutely beautiful, and thank you very much, because he was a gentleman and he was a really, really nice councillor to work with. So thank you. God bless you.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Councillor Barnfather has indicated now.
Oh, sorry. Right, Councillor Barnfather.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, on behalf of the Conservative group, Gordon was a great guy to work with. I think the comments that have already been made about it by so many members across the chamber, even if not in the chamber, reflect how popular Gordon was. I know when I first arrived in 2007, could not have met a more helpful individual, somebody who was easy to talk to, always easy to work with, who had great respect for all members of the chamber, irrespective of what their political persuasions were. We will miss you, Gordon. You were a great asset to Gedling Borough Council in your capacity as a councillor and indeed as an honorary alderman.
Thank you so much, Councillor Barnfather, and thank you everyone in the Conservative Party. Bless you. Anybody else? No? No. Is that it? So if I go on now then, last Friday I opened the new viewing platforms at the Country Park. There's actually 2 and there's one up by the beacon, and I must say that from the European money it's absolutely brilliant. We'll never get this European money again, but what they are, they're 2 lovely, lovely platforms. If you go up, you must go up and have a look, because they're really, really, it's wonderful to just look out and over and see what you can see. They've done, and I want to thank the Willie Album Group, because they're the ones who did it, and they've done a terrific job. And if you haven't been up, go and have a look, because it's really worth going up to have a look. Okay, so has anybody been up? Yeah? No? Anyway, next one, I want to say thank you to all of you who helped raise the money for the Queen's Medical, because we got all the money that was needed for the Resmond Pro for the small children with asthma. So thank you very, very much. Job well done. And last but not least, I just want to remember a guy named David Lawson. He works for Gedling Borough Council 50 years. Not many people have done that. And we had the hearse come by at the bottom of Gedling Borough Council on Friday, and quite a few of his mates saw him off. So we send our love to Carol, his wife, and all his friends and relations, because he was a brilliant worker and he turned his hand to anything that you asked him to do. So thank you very, very much, David Lawson. If anybody wants to see, there's a little sheet, you know what you get from the cemetery, yeah, and it's up in the mayor's parlour if anybody wants to have a look at it, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a really, really nice memory of him. So if you'd like to have a look, it's up there. Just go up and have a look. Thank you very much. Now I want to say I would be very grateful if members could use the raise your hand button or put a message on the meeting chat if you would like to speak on any agenda item. If members are unable to do this, you will still be given an opportunity to speak. As councillors, and the public cannot see us, we need to be clear on the decisions that we are making. I'll therefore be asking Caroline to invite each one of you to confirm how you are voting. This won't be a formal recorded vote unless it's specifically requested, okay? Please bear with us while we're trying to get used to this new way of meeting. Right, item 4 is to approve as a correct record the minutes of the meeting held on the 29th of January and 5th of March 2020. Councillor Clark, are you going to move it, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you for that. And just echo your comments on David Lawson, who was an excellent gain, similar to Gordon Tunnicliffe, excellent servant of God. So I move that we approve the correct record the minutes of the meetings held on the 29th of January and the 5th of March 2020. They're on page 9 to 31. Thank you very much. Councillor Payne, would you like to second?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to second the minutes, and in doing so to pay tribute to all of our staff at the council, from the front line to the chief executive, everybody as one team, and also to all councillors cross-party for the efforts in tackling the coronavirus, which has clearly been unprecedented and incredibly difficult for the community, the businesses and the people that we represent. And also to just put on record, Madam Mayor, on behalf of the council, a thank you to the residents, to the businesses and to the voluntary organisations whom without we would not have been able to shield the most vulnerable, protect the most vulnerable, mitigate the tragic loss of life, and support people throughout what has been a very difficult time. And also just to pay tribute to the government as well. Yes, we've had our disagreements with them. Yes, we've held them to account, but also we've worked with them, which was absolutely the right thing to do in a constructive and collective fashion to try and make the very best out of a deeply dark and challenging situation at times. So just wanted to put on record our thanks, Madam Mayor. I personally wanted to, just as portfolio holder for resources and reputation, pay tribute to the communications team. Every team in the council has been outstanding, but I've worked very closely with the communications team, and I hope members will agree that they've kept us and residents very well informed about what has been going on throughout the crisis. And I thank Councillor Martin Smith for his kind words a couple of days ago to myself and the leader. Very thoughtful and kind words that you sent, Martin Smith, which have been shared with the staff and are greatly appreciated. I'll just finish, Madam Mayor, in saying that I'm sure I speak for the entire council when we pay our tributes and thoughts to all those in Gedling Borough who have lost their life to coronavirus, and to the families who weren't able to say bye to them in certain circumstances. And thank Reverend Bayliss for the beautiful words at the start of the meeting to set such a nice tone to this meeting. I think this virus has shown that we can work collectively and collaboratively to defeat the worst challenges. So I'll move I'll second the minutes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very, very much, Councillor Payne, for your very, very kind words. There have been some very sad situations, so yes, what you've said is really, really very thoughtful. Thank you. Can I just say now, as the minutes are not normally voted down, I do not propose to take a vote. If any member is not content with this or would like to raise a point of accuracy on the minutes, could they please indicate now? Otherwise, or I will assume that council is happy to approve the minutes. Okay, thank you. Item 5, declaration of interest. Are there any declaration of interests?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be declaring a personal interest in agenda item number 9, and I will leave the meeting at that point.
Thank you very much. Are there any other declaration of interests? No, nothing. Thank you. Item 6, to deal with any petitions received under Standing Order 8A.
None received, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item 7, to answer questions asked by the public under Standing Order number 8. We've received a question from Lee Weston. And as per Standing Order 8.07, the questioner has been given an opportunity to attend the meeting, but is not doing so. Therefore, the question cannot be put and a written answer will be supplied to him. Is that okay? All right? Okay. Item 8, to answer questions asked by the member of council under Standing Order 9.
None received, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item 9, appointment of the chief executive.
I shall leave the meeting.
Mike's going to leave the meeting now. The recommendation is on page 33 of the agenda. Mike's left the office. Councillor Clark, would you like to move it?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. You know, it was an ongoing process, there's no doubt in that. It was done efficiently, and like Michael says, without the backup of our superb staff at Gedling, these things wouldn't run so smoothly. I know we said we were going to look at October, but I think with all the times changing, all the things coming, we needed a permanent chief executive, and what we've got there, and this was agreed. I think Chris will back this up, and Mark, people that were on that meeting. That we have a superb candidate. The superb candidate came through there, and I've watched him grow through his time being with us at Gedling as he came on, 151 officer, and then to deputy chief executive, and he's well worthy of that position. So I'll move that from with this recommendation. So 3 on page 33.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Councillor Payne, would you like to second this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and the recommendations there on page 33 that Mike obviously be appointed Chief Executive from the 16th of July, that his formal designation as Head of Paid Service, appointment as Returning Officer for Local Elections and Parish Polls and Electoral Registration Officer to continue, and that Alison Ball's designation as the Council's Section 151 Officer, the officer ultimately responsible for finance for those, if there are anybody listening as members of the public to this meeting, should continue too. And I'd just like to echo the Leader of the Council's comments, Madam Mayor, that in the time Mike has served as both as Deputy Chief Executive and as Acting Chief Executive, I think he's shown a real passionate commitment to Gedling, to the residents in Gedling, to our businesses and community organisations. And I think there's no finer example of how well he served us as a Chief Exec than him stewarding us through the situation with coronavirus. And he's done that in inclusive, collegiate fashion, and he deserves our thanks and deserves to be appointed as Chief Executive. I know it's a role and responsibility that he takes incredibly seriously. Should also pay tribute to his wider senior leadership team, including both Alison Ball and Mike Avery, but also Helen Barrington and David Wakelin, who I think have given real leadership throughout the pandemic. And I know it's not a trendy thing to do, giving credit to senior officers in local government, and they've been at the butt end of pot shots by previous ministers about levels of pay previously, but I've seen day to day, and John's seen, and Councillor Barnfather would certainly attest to this, has seen the leadership and innovation and creativity and the fleet of foot way that they've behaved throughout this pandemic. So they deserve our thanks. Let me just finish, Madam Mayor, by saying a thank you to the Appointments and Conditions of Service Committee, which obviously included yourself, Councillor Collis, Councillor Paling and Councillor Adams. And let me pay particular tribute, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Barnfather, who not only on this appointment, but on previous appointments in the Appointments and Conditions of Service Committee has been very helpful in shaping questions, shaping the way that interviews have worked, and certainly in the private conversations that I had leading up to the appointment process around this was very helpful in the feedback that he'd given in a cross-party fashion. So a particular thank you to you, Chris, for all of the work that you've done on the Appointments and Services Committee. I've certainly, and John has certainly massively appreciated your input and the spirit in which you've approached these tasks.
Right. Thank you very, very much, Councillor Payne. Would anybody like to speak on this now?
We've got Councillor Adams, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, just to really echo a lot of what Michael said there. Mike has been a phenomenal help, especially to me since my change of position. I know we're going to get onto that in a while, but there's nothing, when you first start a new position, you need to find out, sort of what's happening and be able to pass on information to your colleagues. And Mike has been fantastic at that. He's obviously, during the pandemic, coordinated probably one of the most difficult things a chief executive, especially in his first year, has actually had to deal with. And I think he's dealt with it incredibly well. He's been incredibly professional. And the work that's been done, especially on getting these grants to people that really need them, these businesses, some of which didn't even realise they were meant to have them. And the dogged enthusiasm he's put into making sure that happens and those people get that money to not only support those businesses individually, but obviously that helps the wider borough as well. I think he's a fantastic leader, and I very much am looking forward to working with him over the next few years. And also, I'd just like to put on the end of that my thanks to Councillor Barnfather as well, who's been a fantastic colleague and leader during the actual process and through the recruitment, but obviously personally as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Adams. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Councillor Barnfather, Madam Mayor.
Father, thank you.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just following on from what's been said by the speakers already, really, in relation to Mike Hill. Having had the pleasure of working with Mike in his capacity as the Deputy Chief Executive and obviously latterly as the Acting Chief Executive, he's a tremendous asset to Gedling Borough Council. And I know that he obviously applied for the position when Karen Bradford was appointed not so long ago. And Karen secured the position above him. Can I say that the interim period, he has absolutely shone through. I think the experience of working under Karen and the time span in between, he has honed his personal and professional skills to the point where it was a no-brainer, but to appoint him on this occasion. This is not a case of a second best 18 months down the road. This is a case of that Mike is an outstanding candidate at this moment in time. The way in which he has progressed and learnt his skills, second to none. And I wholeheartedly support the recommendation from the Leader and the Deputy Leader, supported by the Leader of the Opposition, to appoint him on this occasion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barnfather. Anyone else?
Councillor Elwood.
Councillor Elwood, Andrew.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to say that both Councillor Towsey Hinton and myself are pleased to support this appointment. Mike has had a baptism of fire, I think, over the past few months. Yes. And I think if anyone is able to cope what we've been through over the last few months, then he truly does deserve this appointment. So we're happy to support this, and we wish him well going forward, and we look forward to working with him as well. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Elwood. Anyone else? No? No? Councillor Clark, would you like to close, please? Councillor Clark? You're on mute. Councillor Clark?
There we are, we're up. Yeah, thanks for those comments, and you can see that's a unanimous decision that was made by the committee. And I think we've all seen Mike grow into, the material from where he came from, grow into such an excellent person to deal with, particularly at the moment with all the things that are flying in and flying out at all hours of the day. It's certainly not 9 to 5, it can be 24 hours. So thanks for those comments. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Caroline, can I ask you now, can we take the vote, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So for this vote, when I call your name, please state either for, against or abstain. So we have Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Peter Barnes.
For.
Madam Mayor.
For.
Councillor Barnfather.
For.
Councillor Bosworth. Councillor Bosworth.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Boyle.
For, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Brooks.
For.
Councillor Clark.
For.
Councillor Clooney.
For.
Councillor Collis.
For.
Councillor Creamer.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor David Ellis.
For.
Councillor Rachel Ellis.
For.
Councillor Elwood.
For.
Councillor Feeney.
For.
Councillor Fox.
For.
Councillor Gibbons.
For.
Councillor Greensmith.
For.
Councillor Gregory. Councillor Gregory.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Hollingsworth.
For.
Councillor Hope.
4.
Councillor Lawrence.
4.
Councillor Ron McCrossan.
4.
Councillor Viv McCrossan.
4.
Councillor Miller. Councillor Miller.
Madam Mayor, I can see she's putting her hand up, so I think we can assume she's voting for.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Councillor Murray.
Yes, I'm for, although I have to report myself for being late. I'm sorry, I was stuck in court. I only arrived halfway through that agenda item, so I'm probably not allowed to vote.
Thank you. Councillor Nayuk.
4.
Councillor Paling.
4.
Councillor Parr.
John, where's John?
Councillor Parr.
Sorry, Carol. 4, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Payne.
4.
Councillor Scroggy.
4.
Councillor Martin Smith.
4.
Councillor Sam Smith.
4.
Councillor Towsey Hinton.
4.
Councillor Truscott.
4.
Councillor Wheeler.
4.
And Councillor Wilkinson.
4.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, that's carried.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Can we please bring Mike Hill back into the meeting then, please? And welcome him. Welcome back.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
To our new Chief Executive, Mike Hill. I'd just like to say we've got someone now who's very, very dedicated to Gedling Borough Council. Very much like Bill Brown, I've told him that. And for those of you who remember Bill Brown, he was absolutely wonderful, and we've got another wonderful man now. So well done. All the best.
Thank you very much. Yeah, can I say 2 words?
Yes, you can.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For me, it's an absolute honour to be appointed as Chief Executive of Gedling Borough Council. Sure you're aware we are an ambitious and high-achieving council, and I think that's entirely down to the quality and the commitment of all our excellent staff and, of course, our local councillors as well. Just to end, I do look forward to working with you to achieve even greater things in the coming weeks and months. And as I say, absolutely honoured today. So thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, well done, Madam. Well done. Right, thank you very much. That's sorted now. So it's item 10, changes to the Conservative group. You'll find the recommendation on page 37 of the agenda. First of all, I would just like to say to Councillor Barnfather, I want to say thank you for your decorum, your efficiency, and most of all, your friendship and how you controlled your party while we've been all together as a council. I think you have done absolutely wonderful. And so I thank you on my behalf anyway, as being very nice when I've been the mayor, and you've been absolutely lovely. So thank you very, very much for your past contributions, Councillor Barnfather. Okay. I want to welcome Michael Adams as the new leader of the Conservative Party, and also Councillor Murray as the deputy. And I hope that you both will have the decorum and the efficiency and the friendship again that Councillor Barnfather has so done. So I want to welcome you. I think, Councillor Simon Murray, are you going to move this?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It is me to move this, the recommendation on page 37 of the agenda. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yes. It gives me great pleasure to propose that Councillor Adams is recognised as the leader of the Conservative group following his election at the recent AGM. Before I turn to the many merits of Councillor Adams, I wish first to say a word or two about our outgoing leader.
Okay.
Whilst there were many reasons for the difficult results in the 2019 District Council election, for the Conservative group at least, I feel confident that the leadership of Councillor Barnfather was not among them. Councillor Barnfather took the reins some 11 years ago and has ever since displayed excellent leadership skills and fine judgment in his role as leader. He is a man who is plainly in local politics entirely for the benefits of our local residents. His cooperation and consensual style in his long tenure as leader of the opposition group has meant that much has been achieved for the benefit of all our residents. A former detective superintendent with the Nottinghamshire Police, his consensual approach was always tempered by steel. Chris's leadership was marked by his detailed consideration of the evidence, an ability to see through the flannel and to pull apart a badly thought out or nakedly political position. As a fellow councillor in the Newstead Abbey ward, I am frequently reminded of his wide popularity and deep support both within Ravenshead and across the borough. Fortunately, even though he will no longer be leading us here at Gedling Borough Council, he will be remaining as the county councillor for our division. I have little doubt that our electors will renew his mandate next May. Turning then to his replacement as leader, Councillor Adams is a relative newcomer to local politics. First elected in 2015, he became the chief whip for the group in 2017. He runs a local IT company. He lives in Burton Joyce. He will make an excellent leader for our group, giving deep and thorough scrutiny where it's needed, and yes, building by sensible consensus with the present leadership on those matters upon which we can agree. The new leadership team for the group, therefore, is Councillor Adams as leader, myself as deputy leader, Councillor Sam Smith as chief whip, and Councillor Martin Smith as deputy chief whip. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murray. Councillor Sam Smith, would you like to second, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to second the recommendation on page 37 for the changes of the Conservative group. In doing so, I would also like to pay tribute to the outgoing leader of the Conservative group, Councillor Barnfather, who, over his many years as leader, has seen new councillors come and go. He's been a great mentor to me coming onto this council and to many before me. So I would like to thank him on our behalf for that. In Councillor Barnfather going, we welcome Councillor Michael Adams as the leader of the Conservative group. Not only is he a good friend of mine, he is also a fellow ward councillor in Trent Valley. And I have seen the fantastic work and impact he has for our residents, working beside him day in and day out. If he can continue that change from Trent Valley throughout this borough, then he will make not only a fantastic leader of the opposition, but a fantastic leader of this council. So I second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Would anybody else like to speak on this?
Got Councillor Clark, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations to the two new leaders of the Conservative group. But really, I want to speak about Chris because I worked with Chris for many years on the police authority. Although we've differed, when we've differed in this chamber, we've differed in the chamber down at County Hall. But he's been very supportive, and just exactly what I was saying about the standard of councillors on this, no matter about political colour, the standard of councillors on Gedling, which makes it such a strong council for who is, who is in the fortunate position of actually running this council, the administration. So thanks, Chris. And, we won't lose touch anyway. And I'm sure we've got a few pints to catch up on when we can find a decent pub or one that's open that doesn't allow us to chuck us out in about an hour. But anyway, thank you very much for all your service. And like Councillor Murray said and other people have said, that the work you've done in Ravenshead is a lot has not been seen. From the older persons complex up there to the actual recreation area, all those types of things there wouldn't be happening unless it was people like you. And also thanks to Tracy, because like my wife, I have to put up with all the hours that we're away. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Councillor Payne, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Payne, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and like the leader of the council, congratulations to Councillors Adams and Murray on their elections of leader and deputy leader of the Conservative group, respectively. Just wanted to pay a moment paying tribute to Chris, really. And he's not leaving us. He's not going anywhere. I had a chat with him on the phone about this a few weeks ago, and I think, as Councillor Murray says, he will continue to do a fantastic job as a ward councillor and as a county councillor. Chris and I have had our robust and vehement disagreements in the chamber, but what I've always enjoyed about Chris is that he is a man of principle and a man of respect, and I've enjoyed the friendship and the professional relationship that we've had outside of the chamber. Chris and I have always had the agreement that the chamber is built to have democratic debate and disagreement, but when you leave the chamber, you treat people with respect and courtesy, and he's always treated me with respect and courtesy, and I hope, Chris, that you found that I've extended that back to you as well. I've enjoyed the conversations with both Chris and Tracy at functions and events, and certainly I think John and I, in our private meetings with Chris, have enjoyed the way in which he's constructively challenged, but been creative and always tried to push the bar and make Gedling be better than it is. So he deserves our huge credit and thanks. And like John, I've seen the way he's worked at County Hall. I've seen the way he's worked to try and help shape and improve the fire service locally. And John also saw the way that he worked to try and improve the local police force, not only through his professional career, but on the police authority as well. A huge distinguished career in public service, and he deserves our credit, Chris. So whilst we've had our disagreements, Chris, I've enjoyed them, but more than that, I've enjoyed your personal friendship and your advice outside of the chamber, and you will be sorely missed as leader of the Conservative group.
Thank you very much, Councillor Payne. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Councillor Adams, Madam Mayor.
Adams, thank you, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. It's really nice to see you all as another small step is taken back to some sort of normality. May I start by thanking you, Madam Mayor, for your warm message that you sent me, and congratulations from yourself and Peter in my election to my new position. It was very much appreciated.
That's a
pleasure. May I also pass on my congratulations to our group's new Deputy Leader, Simon Murray, the Chief Whip, Sam Smith, Deputy Chief Whip, Martin Smith, and the Treasurer, Helen Greensmith, and thank them, the previous two, for their kind words. I would also like to put on record my appreciation for the support I've received from my wider group and local Gedling Conservative Association, and the two MPs, Tom Randall and Mark Spencer, and the officers from Gedling as well in the run-up to our first group meeting and subsequent council meeting. It really has been second to none. I would like to thank my predecessor, Chris Barnfather. Chris is a fantastic leader. His encouragement through the early days to a very wet behind the ears councillor was invaluable. He was understanding with any childcare emergencies that I had, and always took a family first approach. The flexibility that has made my role as a dad, a full-time working business owner and a councillor a much simpler one. To have been the unluckiest leader in Gedling history, with his record dictated to, not by any mistake of his own, but by, in most recent times, one of the biggest issues facing our great nation, now resolved and soon to be a firm part of our history. He has a great sense of humour, and he's kept us all laughing through some tough times. I pay tribute to you, Chris, and I thank you and wish you good luck on the back benches. This is an incredibly proud moment for me. Showing your kids what you can do with hard work is a lesson you can't teach without doing something with your life. I want to go back to 1979 to prove my point. A sentence whispered in a newly born baby's ear, a sentence that was unknowingly printed on that baby's psyche for the rest of its life. Seen a very snowy scene at the first hospital in 79. A mother was giving birth to a boy. This incredible lady would bring up two boys on her own, working at first part-time cleaning houses while they were young, leaving them while at work to be fantastically influenced by grandparents who were policemen and a seamstress. The latter made most of their clothes growing up, and they both loved them dearly. When they were old enough to be at home, she started a job in sales, got her first car, first VHS video player, which was amazing for the kids. But then disaster struck when she was in her 40s and she was diagnosed with MS. But the lady didn't quit on life. She continued to work incredibly hard for her boys, getting them through senior school onto jobs before buying their first houses at 21. The sales job she would finally retire from less than only 5 years ago, and I am now glad to report deservedly very comfortable from all that hard work. That lady was Linda Susan Adams, and she is my mum. The sentence she whispered to me at that time was, "We will show them." We will show them. That single defiant sentence has been the fire in me to do something with my life and make her proud and my new family proud. So politics is very personal for me. In 2011, that journey began, and it's turned out a more obvious political party than I thought. It matched my values, those of my mum. I'd never spoken to her about voting, but as it turned out, and my grandparents as well. Aspiration, believing you can come from challenging circumstances, not only overcome them, but achieve something. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. With hard work, you can achieve anything. And that's not good enough on its own, of course. And I'll be doing things the right way, in the rules, the way those people that nurtured me would want. It's the only way I'll do this, improving this place for all those incredible people of my own and those others through schooling, Saturday jobs, full-time jobs, fun times, the tears we've shared, the caring we've known, and those that have been such huge influences for me and who deservedly deserve the best. I said goodbye to one of those yesterday, and I'd like to say rest in peace to my good friend Paul. This man would do anything for anyone if you asked him, and there are many others who give so much to so many. Those residents have not only helped before, but now during some of the most difficult times our country has faced, they've stood up to the plate. Woodborough Village Volunteers, Burton Joyce Isolation Assistance Group, Papplewick Parish Council, Limby Parish Council, Parochial Church Council in Limby and Papplewick, Calverton Self-Isolation Group, Cast Angling Project, Age Concern Carlton District, Bestwood Village Community, Lanley Volunteer Shopping and Assistance, Cork Centre Calverton, Ravenshead Community Transport, Food Medicine Delivery, Burton Joyce Pastors Group, Autistic Nottingham Disability Group, Gedling Borough Virus Volunteer Tasks, Homestart Nottingham Community Volunteer Tasks, Ravenshead Nottingham COVID-19 Support Community Volunteer Tasks, St Wilfrid's Church Community Volunteer Tasks, Nottingham Carers Hub Befriending Service, Carers Trust Food Delivery Medication and Prescription Services Befriending Services, and the Cinnamon Trust Dog Walking Service. The police, the NHS, carers, and our fantastic key workers who have saved Gedling and our nation. We will remember those who we have lost, and we will remember you, all of you. Your sacrifice is forever part of us. And finally, our incredible team here at Gedling. A team that has adapted, retrained, and gone where many others would not to deliver for the people of this great borough. I want to thank you personally, and I know Gedling thanks you too. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Councillor Adams. Councillor Murray, would you just like to close on this?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I have really nothing to add to all of those very thought-provoking contributions, and we will just say thank you again to Chris for his hard service over the last 11 years.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murray. Can I ask now, Caroline, we'll take a vote, please.
We don't take a vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, when your name is called, please state for, against, or abstained. And could I remind all councillors to take themselves off mute at this time? Thank you. So we have Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Peter Barnes.
No comment.
Oh.
Madam Mayor.
For.
Councillor Barnfather.
For.
Councillor Bosworth.
For.
Councillor Boyle.
For.
Councillor Brooks. Councillor Brooks.
Nobody's answering.
Do we have Councillor Brooks?
No.
Councillor Clark.
For.
Councillor Clooney.
For.
Councillor Collis.
For.
Councillor Creamer.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor David Ellis.
For.
Councillor Rachel Ellis.
For.
Councillor Elwood.
For.
Councillor Feeney.
4.
Councillor Fox.
4.
Councillor Gibbons.
4.
Councillor Greensmith.
4.
Councillor Gregory.
4.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
4.
Councillor Hope.
4.
Councillor Lawrence.
4.
Councillor Ron McCrossan.
4.
Councillor Viv McCrossan.
4.
Councillor Miller.
He's not listening.
Councillor Miller. Councillor Barbara Miller.
Hold on. Yeah, she's agreeing, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Councillor Murray.
4.
Councillor Nayuk.
4.
Councillor Paling.
4.
Councillor Parr.
4.
Councillor Payne.
4.
Councillor Scroggy.
4.
Councillor Martin Smith.
4.
Councillor Sam Smith.
4.
Councillor Towsey Hinton.
4.
Councillor Truscott.
4.
Councillor Wheeler.
4. 4. Sorry, yeah. 4.
Councillor Wilkinson.
4.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's carried.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Right, item 11 is the proposed amendment to procedural standing orders substitutes at committee. The recommendation you'll find is on page 39 of the agenda. Councillor Clark, would you like to move, please?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thank you. And thanks to Chris on this, because he's been pushing for this. It makes sense, and therefore I hope everybody supports it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Payne to second.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Yeah, the change to procedural standing orders speaks for itself, I guess, just in case anybody is listening or wants to listen back to the decision we're taking. It's simply to allow all councillors within groups to be substitutes on committees of the council, rather than a narrow pool of substitutes, which clearly aids and assists if we have elected members who are ill or who have technical issues or have caring responsibilities or any other burdens, to be able to attend a meeting that somebody else who is an elected councillor can step in to make sure that the committee has got a full contingent and that views are debated, aired and heard at those committees. So I second the recommendations that are on page 39 in the pack, and that, as I understand, Madam Mayor, will not be debated but will be held over, as this is obviously a procedural change.
That's right. Thank you, Councillor Payne. As set out in the report and in accordance with the Constitution, this matter is now adjourned to the meeting of the next council. Thank you. Item 12 is referral from Cabinet, Annual Treasury Activity Report 2019-2020. The recommendation is at the front of your agenda. So, Councillor Payne, would you like to move this?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Yes, I move the recommendation on page 43 of the agenda, which is that members approve the annual Treasury Activity Report for 2019-20 and refer it to full council for approval as required by the regulations. So we are now doing that. Full council is being asked to approve the annual Treasury Activity Report for 19-20. There's nothing further to add, Madam Mayor. The report speaks for itself. It's been through Cabinet and received Cabinet's approval, so I move the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Councillor Clark, would you like to second this?
Yeah, second recommendation and reserve the right to speak. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak on this? No?
We've got Councillor Sam Smith, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sam Smith, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On page 45, I'm pleased that the report notes that the government's budget for 2020 saw a large increase in the economy recover once the coronavirus lockdown restrictions are lifted. It's worth noting, Madam Mayor, what a positive impact two Conservative MPs have in Gedling Tom Randall and Mark Spencer, working alongside us councillors in ensuring Gedling has received unprecedented economic support to protect jobs and businesses. That's with 11,400 jobs protected through the coronavirus job extension scheme in Gedling, covering 80% of people's wages up to £2,500. 3,200 self-employed people across Gedling receiving grants worth £9.6 million. £18 million worth of £10,000 and £25,000 grants to support more than 1,000 businesses across our borough. It's also thanks to the Conservative government that our council has received an extra £1.2 million in funding to continue providing essential services. Our council has also benefited from government funding for council tax for residents. So I'm sure all councillors will agree that these amazing measures are making a huge positive difference to our residents, and I thank the Deputy Leader of the Council for his early remarks in acknowledging that the government is supporting Gedling. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Anyone else wishing to say anything?
Councillor Clark, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Clark, thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, we do thank the government for the help, but unfortunately, unlike the NHS, which is I'm really pleased that they are getting the funding there that's being promised, and also the business sector, but they're a bit out of kilter. In fact, Sam, a lot out of kilter with local authorities. Local authorities are substantially down, and at the moment we're 28% down on funding from the government. So some of the facts are quite a query with you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Councillor Payne.
Councillor Payne. Well, you're going to close, aren't you? Councillor Payne.
Yeah, I'll close the debate, Madam Mayor, when contributions are finished.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak then on this? No? Right. Councillor Payne, would you like to close then on this?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I mean, I think, look, you know, the annual Treasury Activity Report, clearly, as Councillor Sam Smith says, covers some analysis of where the economy's at. I have to say, I think anybody who predicts rosy uplands for the economy following on from the coronavirus is professing to be either a soothsayer or an expert like we've not seen anywhere else, because certainly whilst I hope the British economy makes a swift recovery from the significant impact of coronavirus, I'm desperately worried that it's not going to, and that the people who are going to suffer are our local businesses and our local residents. So it's disappointing that it's only taken 1 hour 20 minutes for Councillor Smith to try and turn this meeting into a Conservative Party political broadcast. I think the point I made at the start of this meeting is that the council's worked constructively with both the government and local members of Parliament. It's disappointing as well, as the Leader of the Council points out, that Councillor Sam Smith talks about unprecedented support. The only thing that's been unprecedented about our representative for the Gedling constituency is silence on the issue that the borough faces a £3.9 million deficit as a result of coronavirus, and the government has thus far provided with a very welcome 1.2 million, leaving us with a £2.65 million shortfall. Now, we can argue until the cows come home about pounds and pennies, but the frank reality, Madam Mayor, as you and I well know, is that that £2.65 million shortfall in terms of loss of income and the financial impact of coronavirus is going to have an impact not only on public services, but potentially on the jobs of those heroes who have got us through this situation. So I think any carping from the sidelines and crowing about success is somewhat premature, and I really hope the economy does pull through, and I really hope the injections of cash around infrastructure do help the economy, and I wish the government well in that regard. But let's see what happens with the economy in the next few months. Let's see what happens to our local communities, and let's continue to argue cross-party, collegiately, collectively, for a better and fairer deal for residents, businesses and our communities here in Gedling. Let me just finish by saying this, Madam Mayor, what I said at the start of the meeting. We haven't got through this virus because of Gedling Borough Council or because of our local MPs, or because of the government. We've got through this virus because of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I think it's beholden and behoven on all of us here to just show a little bit of humility in the contributions that we're making about what has been an incredibly challenging and dark period. Turning this meeting into a party political broadcast is not going to serve the residents and businesses here that we're to do a job on the behalf of.
Thank you very much, Councillor Payne. Yeah. Can we now take a vote on this recommendation, please, Caroline?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When your name is called, councillors, please state whether you are for, against or abstain. And just a reminder for all councillors to take themselves off mute at this time.
Thank you.
So we have Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Peter Barnes.
For.
Madam Mayor.
For, please.
Councillor Barnfather.
For.
Councillor Bosworth.
For.
Councillor Boyle.
For.
Councillor Brooks.
For.
Councillor Clark.
For.
Councillor Clooney.
For.
Councillor Collis.
For.
Councillor Creamer.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor David Ellis.
For.
Councillor Rachel Ellis.
For.
Councillor Elwood.
For.
Councillor Feeney.
For.
Councillor Fox.
For.
Councillor Gibbons.
For.
Councillor Greensmith.
For.
Councillor Gregory.
For.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
For.
Councillor Hope.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, Councillor Hope sent a message he's had to leave the meeting and won't be returning.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Councillor Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Ron McCrossan. Councillor Viv McCrossan.
For.
Councillor Miller.
She's agreeing with the recommendation again.
Thank you. Councillor Murray.
For.
Councillor Nayuk.
For.
Councillor Paling.
For.
Councillor Parr.
For.
Councillor Payne.
For.
Councillor Scroggy.
For.
Councillor Martin Smith.
For.
Councillor Sam Smith.
For.
Councillor Towsey Hinton.
For.
Councillor Truscott.
For.
Councillor Wheeler.
For.
Councillor Wilkinson.
For.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's carried.
Thank you very much again, Caroline. Now we're on item 13. This is the referral from Cabinet, Budget Outturn and Budget Carry Forward 2019-2020. The recommendation again is at the front of your agenda. So Councillor Payne, would you like to move it?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Yes, the recommendation is contained within the pack, and would just like to say a huge thank you to our finance officers, to our finance team, ably led by Alison Ball, who I'm delighted to see we've confirmed to continue in her role as Section 151 officer, another deeply committed public servant to the Borough of Gedling. And just want to say on the record, on behalf of Council, Mike, to you as Chief Executive, to convey our personal thanks to Alison for going above and beyond in making sure that the financial returns to government have gone in on time, including on one or two occasions where Alison was facing personal tragedy and very bad personal circumstances in terms of her own family, continuing to work through that on behalf of the borough, and heartfelt thanks to her, Mike. The recommendations are there, Madam Mayor. They relate to the capital carry forwards in terms of certain schemes that are carried forward, and they're in Appendix 6 of the report. the overall method of financing the capital expenditure and associated items, and I hope people have read the report in detail. The other thing I'd just say, Madam Mayor, is to pay tribute to the officers of Gedling Borough Council who have managed to land us in terms of outturn position within 0.49% of the council's net budget. The original budget, of course, being £11,676,000 and a very minor overspend of £57,435. A remarkable effort. A bit like landing a parachute on a pinhead on a beach when you're facing a situation like we faced with coronavirus. And clearly there are still some fallout impacts of the coronavirus in terms of council tax collection, the impact on an NDR and the impact on local businesses, etc. But a huge thank you to Mike and all of his staff who have landed us in a pretty decent position. I think 0.49% is a whisker. And I think they deserve our thanks and credit. So I move the recommendations, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Payne. Councillor Clark, would you like to second?
Yeah, I'll second that, Madam Mayor, and I'll echo my support for Michael's comments there, particularly about our own staff, but also there must be thousands of people at the moment trying to work with finance across this country, from the Chancellor Rishi Sunak right the way through to all the different levels of government down to our local government. They're all doing an absolutely excellent job. But again and again, repeatedly, if you look at this throughout the years, you'll see that Gedling has performed very, very well, and it is an overshoot, we know that, but in these difficult times, that is a tremendous place to be, and it doesn't mean that we're going to be suddenly stop functioning. You can be confident that Gedling Borough will be here in the past. But it's something to, we recognise the fact that at this moment in time, which is very, very difficult, and when anybody that's ever worked for themselves and tried to do their own accounts, it gets very interesting. These are doing massive accounts and mass things that are going off all the time, and the accountability is there, and it's a credit to the staff that work for us. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Anyone else wishing to speak on this? Sorry.
Councillor Greensmith.
Councillor Greensmith. Hello, Ellen.
Hello,
yeah.
Madam Mayor, can you hear me okay?
Yes, now.
Right, lovely, thank you. I just would like to raise a point on page 77. 77. Bullet point number 8.
Yeah.
Halfway down the page, regarding the country park and the viewing platforms, Madam Mayor, I welcome the fact that the country park stayed open during the pandemic so that people could get their daily exercise, and I welcome the fact that the cafe and the play park are now open for the residents in my ward plus the wider area. However, I'm extremely disappointed to note that you had an opening ceremony for the viewing platforms, and me as the ward councillor weren't invited. Now, I can remember way back when in the chamber, the Councillor Payne promised faithfully that as and when events happened in our wards, we would at least be notified that these things are happening. Unfortunately, I haven't been notified, and I've neither had the parish chairman of Lamley, where the country park sits. Now, can the council also confirm that they will look at the parking on I think it's called Harrington Road, which is adjacent to the entrance to the park? I know that we've got 100 additional spaces taken on board. I just find that I normally, under normal circumstances, regularly get emails about the lack of parking. I'd welcome comments, please.
Right, well, I'm very sorry, Helen, but I mean, we did keep it really low key because of this COVID virus. That's why and it's not normal circumstances otherwise. I mean, I'm sure, I think it was on email to tell everybody, as far as I know, that you could...
I've checked my emails. I hadn't even had a notification that it was happening. I understand about the COVID-19 situation. I fully appreciate that, but I wasn't even notified that it was happening. It would have been nice to at least have notification.
Well, I'm really sorry
that was happening.
I do apologise then, Catherine, Helen. I'm so sorry, but we did keep it really low key, obviously. So apologies to you.
Can we minute this and make sure that in future, that if any events happen within all the councillors' wards, they at least get notification regarding these events?
And then it's up to them if they come. Yeah. Yes, okay, darling. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
There's no other speakers, but Councillor Payne would like to come back.
Can I just say something though? Because I want to just say about Alison, because she really does a terrific job. I think we've got wonderful staff, and I actually did send letters round to all the departments to say at this very worrying time how well they've done for us all, and I thanked them all very, very much indeed. Okay, Councillor Payne, would you like to close?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Greensmith. Just for the avoidance of doubt for residents, and to be absolutely clear about the facts of the situation here, Gedling Country Park and the viewing platform and the cafe fall within Gedling District Ward, not within the Dumballs Ward, which is represented by Councillors Thomas and Councillors Hollingsworth, who also weren't invited to the event. Heartland Drive, which is the adjacent road that suffers from parking issues, which hopefully will have now been somewhat alleviated by this administration building a brand new car park at the lower level, which Councillor Greensmith has been briefed about, falls within the Plains Ward, which is represented by Councillors Parr, Councillors Boyle and Councillor Keneally, and by myself as the County Councillor. Myself, Councillor Hollingsworth and Councillor Clark, as the leader of Gedling Borough Council, have been involved with residents on Heartland Drive and the surrounding roads. We're working with the County Council to see what more can be done to alleviate the parking issues. And as you rightly said, Madam Mayor, the event at the viewing platform was incredibly low key. I am the County Councillor for that area. I'm the Deputy Leader of the Council, and I didn't attend the event. So I think the right decision was made in the circumstances, Madam Mayor. We're not in ordinary times. And of course, Councillor Greensmith, if there are events in your own particular ward in future, we will endeavour to make sure that you are invited.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Okay, can we please take a vote on this recommendation? Everyone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you. When your name is called, please state for, against or abstained. And this is a reminder for councillors to take themselves off mute at this time. So we have Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Peter Barnes.
For.
Madam Mayor.
For.
Councillor Barnfather.
For.
Who's striking a mouse?
Councillor Bosworth.
For.
Councillor Boyle.
For.
Councillor Brooks.
For.
Councillor Clark.
For.
Councillor Clooney.
For.
Councillor Collis.
For.
Councillor Creamer.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor David Ellis.
For.
Councillor Rachel Ellis.
For.
Councillor Elwood.
For.
Councillor Feeney.
For.
Councillor Fox.
For.
Councillor Gibbons.
For.
Councillor Greensmith.
For.
Councillor Gregory.
For.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
For.
Councillor Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Ron McCrossan. Councillor Ron McCrossan.
You're on mute. Yeah, 4.
Councillor Viv McCrossan.
4.
Councillor Miller.
4.
Councillor Murray.
4.
Councillor Nayuk.
4.
Councillor Paling.
4.
Councillor Parr.
4.
Councillor Payne.
4.
Councillor Scroggy.
4.
Councillor Martin Smith.
4.
Councillor Sam Smith.
4.
Councillor Towsy Hinton.
4.
Councillor Truscott.
4.
Councillor Wheeler.
4.
Councillor Wilkinson.
4.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's carried.
Thank you, Caroline. We're now on item 14, which is referral from Audit Committee, Mazars External Audit Strategy Memorandum. The recommendation again is at the front of your agenda, and Councillor Collis, would you like to move it, please? Councillor Collis?
Trying to get off mute. Right, I would like to move this item.
Thank you. Have we got a seconder? No?
I'll second it. I'll second it as the vice chair of the committee.
Okay, Councillor Lawrence, thank you. Would anybody like to speak on this? No? Councillor Corris, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to recommend that we approve this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, as this report is for noting, I don't propose to take a vote. So if any member is not content with this, could you please indicate now? Otherwise, I will assume that the council is happy to note the audit strategy memorandum. Thank you. Okay. Right. Item 15, referral from Standards Committee, membership of Standards Committee and review of independent person remuneration. The recommendation again is at the front of the agenda. Councillor Boyle, would you like to move, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very happy to move this recommendation. It's all set out on page 147 and onwards in your documents. And just to give you a little bit of background, Madam Mayor, when I first joined and was elected to the council in 2019, I took over as chair of the Standards Committee, and I want to take this opportunity to thank, in particular, Helen Barrington, who guided me through what the processes and purposes and procedures were of the Standards Committee and the makeup of that committee. We did have a vacancy at the time for the co-op, one of the co-optees from the parishes, and it hadn't been filled. And Helen quite rightly asked me what we should do, and I said, well, I don't know, let's see how the committee functions and then we'll take a view later on in the year. Well, the committee has worked very well with cross-party unanimous participation on that, and I thank every single member of that committee, and I particularly want to thank the independent person, John Bagley, and the stand-in independent person, Susan Dewey, who both come to meetings even though they don't really have to. They both contribute. They came and met me personally when I took over and gave me their time, because I'm not a legal person, but they explained what their role was and what they were doing. Their remuneration up until April was fairly meagre. If we downsize the committee by one, as is in the recommendation, then, as you will see set out, we can increase both the deputy and the independent person remuneration to somewhere about the sort of median of what it is in Nottinghamshire for independent people. And what they do is they act as advisors and as a sounding board for the monitoring officer when they come to sometimes quite controversial points that get raised in terms of dealing with complaints about both parish councillors and members of Gedling Council, and Helen has had those things to deal with even while we've been in the situation we're in with COVID. So I think in relation to the Standards Committee, you know, I want to thank them. I want to thank Leanne and Caroline and Jill as well, who also help in this. But within our budget, by reducing the size of the committee, we can recognise the real work that John Backley and Susan Dewey have been doing, and therefore I move and recommend this item to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Boyle. Councillor Murray, would you like to second this?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to second, and I entirely endorse everything that Councillor Boyle has said. And there's a very crisp account of why we recommend this proposal at paragraph 3.1 on page 149 of the bundle, if people want to look at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Murray, right. Councillor Boyle, would you like to, everyone would like to speak on it first, sorry. I was just looking at 149. Anybody like to speak on this? No? So Councillor Boyle, would you like to close, please?
Well, as I say, it was a unanimous view that we should do this within committee, and that has cross-group and cross-party support, and therefore I would hope that we can have unanimity on the council as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Can we take a vote on this, Caroline, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So councillors, when your name is called, please state for, against or abstain, and a reminder for all councillors to take themselves off mute at this time. So we have Councillor Adams.
For.
Councillor Peter Barnes.
For.
Madam Mayor.
For.
Councillor Barnfather.
For.
Councillor Bosworth.
For.
Councillor Boyle.
For.
Councillor Brooks.
For.
Councillor Clark.
For.
Councillor Clooney.
For.
Councillor Collis.
For.
Councillor Creamer.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor David Ellis.
For.
Councillor Rachel Ellis.
I'm not voting because my connection's dropped out.
Thank you. Councillor Elwood.
For.
Councillor Feeney.
For.
Councillor Fox.
For.
Councillor Gibbons.
For.
Councillor Greensmith.
For.
Councillor Gregory.
For.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
For.
Councillor Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Ron McCrossan.
For.
Councillor Viv McCrossan.
For.
Councillor Miller. Councillor
She's
Miller.
in agreement, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Murray.
For.
Councillor Nayuk.
For.
Councillor Paley.
For.
Councillor Parr. Councillor Parr.
It's not there.
Do we have Councillor Parr?
Where's he gone?
Come back to him. We'll come back to him.
Okay. Councillor Payne.
For.
Councillor Scroggy.
For.
Councillor Martin Smith.
For.
Councillor Sam Smith.
For.
Councillor Towsey Hinton.
For.
Councillor Truscott.
For.
Councillor Wheeler.
For.
Councillor Wilkinson.
For.
Do we have Councillor Parr?
We can't get him, Madam Mayor, but we've got enough votes to carry the motion.
Thank you, that's carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Caroline. Right, we're on item 16. To receive questions and comments from members concerning any matter dealt with by the executive or by a committee or subcommittee, standing order 11.1. There's 22 sets of minutes on this agenda, and I therefore propose to take them all as one. So if any member would like to ask a question or make a comment about any of the minutes, would you please indicate when asked by using the raised hand button or by putting a message on the meeting chat? If you are unable to do this, please speak up in a few moments when asked. Can I remind you that you must refer to the page number that you're speaking about? So first of all, item 16, minutes A to F. Are there any comments or any questions? No?
No, none, Madam Mayor.
Items G to L, any comments or questions? No?
None again.
Items M to R, any comments or questions?
Nothing again.
No. Items S to V, any comments or questions?
Nothing, Madam Mayor.
So is there anyone else that would like to ask a question or comment? No? All quite happy? Right. Item 17 then. To consider comments of which due notice has been given under Standing Order 11.3A.
None received, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item 18. To consider motions under Standing Order 12.
No motions received, Madam Mayor.
Well, that's the end, and I would like to thank you all for your patience over this first virtual meeting of full council. I hope you think that it's gone well, and well done everyone, and it will get better, I think. I hope so. Okay.
I think you've done a marvellous job, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Stuck it up, Michael.